So let's start at the beginning. For people that don't know what went on recently, there was an all-time top 10 LCS players list that went out. Here's the video for all-time best players. We can watch it first.
This is the city of championships and comebacks. It is the perfect.
And before we get too far into it, there was a panel that decided on this. There was a panel of experts. I was on that panel, and I was one of the people that actually had Bjergsen as rank 1. So since a lot of people called me out, I went through every single season 3 through season 10. Technically it was only LCS, so like EU LCS didn't matter, just NA LCS. Anything that was done outside of the region doesn't count towards this top 10 list. So like Impact winning Worlds, Core JJ winning Worlds, that was not part of this list. At the top of the list, it says that the way that they wanted you to evaluate was the 10 splits, Rift Rivals, and lock-in tournament. I didn't care about Rift Rivals and lock-in tournament. I literally just like threw them out instantly. Like I just didn't vote based off that because I think that they're pretty much irrelevant, and I don't think it would have changed it anyway. So this is based on their domestic play within the LCS.
At number 2, Doublelift. Considered by many to be the greatest of all time. From 2015
but not me.
to won 8 of 11 splits. A stretch
Yep.
of dominance unmatched by any LCS player ever. For
Or was it? Or did Bjergsen have a bigger stretch of dominance, which we'll go through, in which he's not winning as much, but he is a better player?
And finally, at number 1,
It's me!
Bjergsen.
Oh, wait, never mind. It's Bjergsen. Never mind.
Bjergsen does nothing but win. He's made the playoffs in every split of his LCS career.
That's
He's
huge.
won the most valuable player award 4 times, double the next closest player. He's made the finals 10 times with 6 LCS titles. He's the all-time LCS leader in wins. He defined how mid lane was played in North America for nearly a decade. Bjergsen is the greatest LCS player of all time.
Can he get it? That's a pentakill!
Okay. All right. So that's the video. Next thing we click on here is the top 10 LCS players of all time, where it just says like, you know, where everyone lined up. Obviously, Doublelift number 1, LCS bot laner of all time, Sneaky 2, Bjergsen number 1, Jensen 2 for mid lane, and the voter ballots. So we have the voter ballots right here. As you can see, I was one of the people that had Bjergsen over Doublelift. Now, something that you'll notice is that a lot of the pros and former pros have Bjergsen higher than Doublelift, which people will be like, oh, well, you know, like you get criticized for this because apparently using your own anecdotal experience of playing against the players as an LCS player is like against the law. But I personally think that it does have some merit. Like having competed against both players, I can tell you from my experience in season 4, season 5, and even like playing like against them in scrims and stuff in season 3, or playing against Doublelift in scrims in season 3. Bjergsen wasn't here yet, obviously. Bjergsen was just like one of a kind. He was miles above every other player in the region. Like best player by far is what I would say. Okay, so Bjergsen ended up getting number 1. There's some like discrepancies here. Like people think Core JJ being number 1 is a crime. People say Wild Turtle being number 1 is a crime. You know, it is what it is. There's some weird votes here that I would say for sure. Dyrus kind of trolled the voting, but realistically, like I defend my position. I don't really care about who ended up getting first, who ended up getting second. I care about the fact that I made a decision that I truly believe in. So we're going to be going through, and I'm going to explain why I think Bjergsen is just better than Doublelift all time. We'll start in season 3 for Doublelift, and then season 4, Bjergsen comes in, and we'll start comparing them. Okay, so let's start with this. Doublelift is greater than Bjergsen. So this was the Reddit thread that, you know, did really well. Obviously, I'm called out in it. You know, no one else. They don't mention any of the other people voting. They just mention me. Let's get into it. Okay. I strongly disagree on the recent LCS top 10 all-time players list number 1 ranking. Doublelift should clearly be above Bjergsen. I am actually a Bjergsen fan and always want his teams to win, but from 2018 to 2021, Doublelift clearly won the GOAT case. He has 8 championships compared to Bjergsen's 6, which is this is the argument that people always use, but I completely refute just a championship meaning that somebody is better than the other person, right? By this logic, like upset is like not even in the conversation for some of the best ADs in Europe. Like it just doesn't make sense to me to value team accomplishments. I mean, before we get into it, I mean, we'll get to this eventually, but just look at one of the championships. How about just season 9? How about the season 9 spring championship where Bjergsen is the best player in the series? Bjergsen wins playoff MVP on the losing team. He lost the finals, and they were like, yeah, bro, like he was the best player in the series. Just give this guy the fucking award. And the only reason they lose the series is because Sven randomly gets caught game 5 right in front of the Baron, and they just get outscaled and they lose. Like Sven just ints the whole game. But suddenly, like, that title means that Bjergsen can't win without Doublelift, and like Doublelift shot calling would have got them over the edge or something like weird like that. I don't like how people just reverse engineer what happened to be like all of a player's fault. It was like Bjergsen and Doublelift had a 1v1 and Doublelift won. Like, that's the way that people contextualize it. Anyways, they won 2 championships together from 2016 to 2017. When they split up in 2017, Doublelift went on to win 4 championships in a row, while Bjergsen could not win a single one. Only when Doublelift rejoined Bjergsen did he finally win 1 championship after a long drought. This is, once again, it's like Doublelift rejoined Bjergsen. Doublelift was not a top 3 player in his position. Like, people were flaming him the entire time. He got kicked from TL because he was just like running it pretty much, and he had a bad attitude. They bring in Tactical, and then Bjergsen carries the finals, gets like playoff MVP again. Like they end up. He ends up being like, I think, second in MVP voting. He's all pro first team. There's no one else on TSM that is first, second, or third team. And Bjergsen is all pro first team. And somehow we have to then like reverse engineer that into Doublelift rejoining Bjergsen and allowing Bjergsen to win another title when Bjergsen was the one that was clearly playing better at that time. All right. Anyways, what a coincidence. I mean, yeah. I mean, okay, sure. This is from a Bjergsen fan, by the way. Just so you know, this guy classified himself as a Bjergsen fan, and he wants Bjergsen to win. But this is like the way that he is contextualizing things that are just like wrong. Like, you can literally look at the facts. We can watch the games. Like, everything's still there. And that's what I fucking did. So now, yeah, we'll go into all of it. Okay, let's just finish this off. Doublelift could not be bringing things like leadership, shot calling, risk taking, and a willingness to call out others to the team that was sorely lacking. Okay, I guess this guy knows something else that we don't. Okay. IWillDominate in his Bjergsen retirement video said that he believes that Bjergsen is the GOAT because of the way he won his championships. You can argue that Bjergsen hard carried 2014 and 2015 championships, but then how did Doublelift not carry the 2018 championships? Well, because he simply just didn't carry the 2018 championships. If we go into like, I mean, I don't want to do this all out of order, but if we go into the sneaky and lane part 2, if we just go into this right here, like you just watch the games, like what happens? Okay, game number 1. Oh, Doublelift's just getting solo killed in lane. Doublelift just walks up. They see him. He flashes after the Q. He just gets solo killed in lane, right? Gets solo killed in lane. They end up winning this game. They end up like performing as a team. They win every single team fight. They 3-0 the series. But the idea that like Sneaky was just terrible and like Doublelift was just 1v9ing this game is just like false. I mean, he didn't win finals MVP for a reason. Like Smithy did. Okay. Doublelift gets one back later on. Ole hits a good binding. Okay. We go into game number 2. What's happening 2v2 bot? Well, Sneaky is doing something 2v2 bot. They're like lose. So the TL bot lane was strong, right? The TL bot lane was strong, but in the series that mattered the most, they actually did not perform up to the level that you expected. So just because Doublelift was actually MVP this split, which is his only time that he was MVP, I mean, he's not finals MVP for this reason, because he is literally losing lane to Sneaky. Like, I guess the first game or the second game, he gets 1 kill back in one of these, but they are not stomping bot lane. They're playing Morgana into Braum, which is supposed to be like a lane that's winning. That's supposed to be a counter pick into Braum. And they're playing Kai'Sa into Twitch. Like, this is supposed to be a fine situation for TL, and they're just dying in lanes. So the idea that Bjergsen is just like garbage at this time period because he's not in finals, and then Doublelift is just carrying his team to titles, it's just not true. And no one evaluated it like that at this period of time. So people are essentially just taking the championship and then saying that that is the reason why Doublelift is better. So the spring championship was carried by Pobelter. The 2018 summer championship, they 3-0'd. They're a better team. They just win through team fights. Like, it's not like that Doublelift has to do something where he just pulls out some GOAT performance and then they end up winning. All right, that TL team played only around bot lane, getting ahead and letting Doublelift carry. Just literally not true in the games. Like, yes, they did that sometimes they also didn't. And I would personally argue that the 2019 team, he was still the driving force, but analysts made it seem like CoreJJ was the best player if you listen to them back then because of the world champion, savior of NA narrative. No, the savior of NA narrative started because CoreJJ came in 2019 like guns blazing. He was the MVP of the league. Doublelift was laning with the best player in the league. CoreJJ was taking over and played super well. It's not like Core JJ came to NA and then everyone just like bestowed the fucking crown onto him and were like, yeah, you know, you're the fucking savior of NA. He came over and people were like, oh, well, you know, he didn't look that great with Gen G the year before. Is he actually going to be amazing in NA? We've seen world champion imports come here and fail before. There was another import that was coming into NA at this point named Crown. I don't know if you guys remember, but Core JJ was a fucking smurf. He was the MVP by far. He was like clearly the best player in the region in 2019 when he got here. And he earned that title through his play. It wasn't that the casters randomly just started praising Core JJ for no reason. Like, yes, Core JJ is not playing well right now. That doesn't mean in 2019 he wasn't good. Okay, so we'll continue. There's always some personal bias as well. I get that Bjergsen is the more likable and beloved player, but you have to compare what happened objectively, which is what I'm about to do. Analysts and fans always also seem to insinuate that Bjergsen 1v9'd in summer of 2020 playoffs. I remember a lot of games carried by Broken Blade and Spica with Bjergsen playing more supportive champions like TF and Zilean. Yes, he played TF and Zilean, but he was smurfing with TF and Zilean. So the idea that like, because he's playing like TF and he's roaming and getting other people ahead, that he didn't carry the game then doesn't apply. Like, I think you can carry the game with a supportive champion. If you are playing your champion excellently, you're getting your teams ahead, you're playing Zilean into all these losing lanes, you're actually winning your losing lanes with Zilean. I mean, obviously we're not going to talk about Worlds because in the sake of this argument, it's not relevant because you're literally not factoring Worlds performance into this. He's smurfing. Like, sure, yes, he's reviving people, he's speeding people up. He is doing so much work in those games. Like, hardly a 1v9 performance with no help, even though Bjerg did play better than Doublelift in that run. As a final point, I will leave you with this. Why can't the analysts, Goat of NA Bjergsen, and the savior of NA Core JJ win a championship without Doublelift? Well, I mean, simply they did before, right? Like, I mean, Core JJ is a different scenario. But Bjergsen won in 2017 without Doublelift in spring. So Doublelift took a random split off to stream in 2017 spring. Wild Turtle came in. Bjergsen won the championship without him. Bjergsen won championship in 2014 without him, 2015 without him. And then in the early time where they're playing together, Bjergsen is the more powerful part of this duo. Bjergsen is the guy that's winning MVP consistently, that is consistently levels above every other player in NA. So the idea that like, because Doublelift won, like, you can't say that he was on a better team because he got kicked from TSM. Sure, if you want to go into like, well, Bjergsen wanted certain players on his teams. Like, he wanted Mike Young on his team, for example, and Mike Young ended up being dog. If you want to hold that against Bjergsen and be like, okay, even if his play was good, the fact that he wanted Mike Young on his team, then that should like hurt his legacy. Like, that's a whole different argument. If you want to say that like, since he kind of worked with the GM or he was known to have, you know, more authority within the team when it came to roster decisions, if you want to hold that against him, that's fine. But I feel like you can't judge how much was his doing, how much was the team wanting to go in a certain direction, and be able to actually quantify whether those are like his decisions solely, right? And you don't know on the other side of things which decisions Doublelift wanted to do with TL and maybe he just didn't have the authority to do. I feel like that's just like a really weird area to get into instead of just objectively, like you said here, comparing the levels of play. Okay, if a player would probably rather have championships than be the best, right? Like, I think that that's fine from a player perspective, but from an analytical perspective, somebody being a better player is going to make them greater to me. We just have an example of this right now in 2022 summer with Tien and Kanavi. Kanavi now has more championships than Tien. Tien was the better jungler in this split. So if you say that Kanavi is greater than Tien based off like the fact that Tien's made 4 finals in a row. Oh, he made 4 finals in a row, but he didn't win any of them. Okay, he won one before. He won a world championship. He has like a finals MVP. He played better right now. I'm still going to say Tien is the better player. Like, I'm still going to say that he is greater. Here we have the 2015 awards. So this is for summer. This is for summer. The reason I brought this up is because this is the first time where they had all pro awards. Bjergsen surely would have won all pro awards before this. He won MVP in 2014 when it started. He won MVP the split before this. So that's like 2 all pro first teams guaranteed. And then here, he's all-pro second team, but he's 4th in MVP voting. So people think that he is extremely good. Scroll down to North America. Here's the all-pro second team. The all-pro second team was Quas, myself, Bjergsen, Doublelift, and Adrian. All-pro first team, Impact, Rush, Phoenix, Piglet, and Afro. Right? That's what this was when the role was invented. Okay, so this is like the beginning of the all-pro stuff existing. Now we go to this. Every LCS MVP ever. So let's start here. 2014, Bjergsen wins MVP. Summer, Bjergsen doesn't win MVP, but he wins playoffs MVP when they end up winning. Spring, he wins MVP again. Summer, Rush wins MVP, which we just went into. 2016, Reignover wins MVP. Summer, Bjergsen wins MVP. This one was contentious. This is the only one that's contentious between Bjergsen and Doublelift. They said, like, a lot of people were saying that Doublelift deserved to have MVP here, even if we say that, like, Doublelift gets that MVP, right? So now it's like 3 MVPs for Bjergsen to 2 MVPs for Doublelift. You also have to consider, if you go into each one of these splits, where they were in the votes. Like when Bjergsen's winning MVP, Doublelift's not even in the conversation in 2015. He's not there, right? But when Doublelift wins an MVP, Bjergsen is like right there. It's like 1A, 1B. Which one is going to get it? And in this case, Bjergsen ended up getting it. So it's 4-1 in MVPs, even if you want to give that one to Doublelift. Overall, Bjergsen he's getting way higher in the MVP votes. People think he is a significantly better player that are voting on these things during this period. Okay. Spring, Doublelift doesn't play. TSM wins anyway. Arrow wins MVP. 2017, Bjergsen wins MVP for Summer. This one isn't really contentious at all. Okay. 2018, Afro wins MVP in Spring. Summer split, Doublelift wins MVP. This is his only MVP. 2019, CoreJJ wins MVP. So think about this. Bjergsen outperforms Doublelift. Bjergsen is the best player. He is the finals MVP, the playoffs MVP of 2019 Spring. On the losing team, he's the MVP of Spring playoffs, while Doublelift is laning with the literal MVP and like not a fluke MVP. Anyone who was in that situation was just like, yeah, this guy deserves MVP. CoreJJ is just the best player. If you have supposedly the best AD carry, and then you have CoreJJ, who's the best support by far, why are they not dominating bot lane in that series? Why are they losing bot? Why do they have to rely on Sven throwing the game at Baron to win this championship? And then, yeah, we can go into the playoffs MVPs. Bjergsen, Summer playoffs MVP. So he won MVP in Spring, Summer playoffs MVP here. This time he won finals MVP plus Spring MVP. Summer playoffs, Darshan ends up winning it, one of Doublelift's teammates. Spring playoffs, Stixxay is the Spring playoffs MVP of 2016. Stixxay is the MVP here. Laning against Doublelift. This is like when Doublelift had Yellow Star on his team. Yeah, and I mean, in this series, we're going to go into it. You can tell the level of performance difference. Summer playoffs, Bjergsen and Doublelift are both on the team. Svenskeren ends up winning it. Svenskeren ends up winning it here. Spring playoffs 2017, Haunter wins it, Biofrost wins it. Every single player on TSM ends up winning it, like either an MVP or a finals MVP besides for Doublelift. Power of Evil, Bjergsen here for Spring playoffs. Power of Evil gets it on a losing team. Bjergsen wins it in Summer. Bjergsen is by far performing better in Summer playoffs. And then 2021, neither player is in LCS. 2022 Spring All-Pro first team goes to Bjergsen. Okay, so let's take out MVPs, right? Like, let's say MVP is sided towards mid laners. Mid laners just get MVP. It's almost like mid is a more impactful role, and if you play mid better, you're just essentially just doing more in the game. It's almost like that. Okay, let's go to this. Let's go to LCS All-Pro first team, or just All-Pro in general, right? Because now you're not even competing against other laners for like an MVP, right? What are you competing against? You're competing against people within your own role. We can go through each single season, or we can just skip to the end. And in the end, Bjergsen has 11, actually, because 2022 Spring, which counts for this. 2022 Spring was the cutoff because you voted after 2022 Spring, in between Spring and Summer. So Bjergsen had another All-Pro first team. Bjergsen is 11 votes for All-Pro, 6-time All-Pro first team, 2-time All-Pro second team, 3-time All-Pro third team. Doublelift, 5-time All-Pro first team, 1-time All-Pro second team. So even within their own roles, Bjergsen is more dominant than Doublelift. And what I would say here is that Jensen is another player that's at the top. So like if you compare Sneaky to Doublelift on the all-time rankings, Sneaky is towards the bottom of the top 10, where Doublelift is towards the top in most people's estimation. Jensen and Bjergsen are both at the top. Like I had Jensen top 4. Jensen probably got snubbed. He probably should have been top 4, potentially even top 3 all time. But Jensen and Bjergsen are like going back and forth, and there's like a lot more competition between them than there is between Doublelift and Sneaky. And I don't think that that's because necessarily like Sneaky is that much worse than Doublelift. It's just that like 80 carries in our region just weren't at that high level that Jensen and Bjergsen were at during the peak of their careers. Okay, so let's say all of this doesn't matter, right? You don't care about the stats, you don't care about MVP votes, you don't care about All-Pro, you don't care about any of that, right? You think individual awards don't matter, right? So let's look objectively at the seasons. So let's start with season 3. Season 3 is when Doublelift starts in the LCS. In the first 6 splits that Doublelift plays, he makes finals 1 time and wins. He is on what is essentially a super team in early LCS. Like, CLG should be one of the best teams. Dignitas obviously loses their jungler. I get banned. Dignitas in spring of this season, they have to get somebody who's never played competitive before in Kiwi Kid. Kiwi Kid joins the team. So that should be the main competition. Like, we beat CLG in 2012, and, you know, we went to Worlds as second seed. CLG went into third seed. So you'd think that the natural progression for CLG, now with Dignitas being out of the mix, would be that suddenly they're going to be top 2 easily, right? Like, they're gonna, or maybe the Kiwi Kid ends up being better than me and Dignitas ends up being like top 2. CLG should at least be 3rd. They finished 5th, 6th in the LCS in season 3, and you can go watch the games. Like, they are not performing well at all. Good Game University with Don't Mash Me with Jinte as a sub gets top 2 in spring. The team is not doing well at all, and this is when, you know, people start really piling on Doublelift. They say, oh, it's the everyone else is trash like thing. Oh, he thinks everyone else is trash, but actually he's trash. This is when he has pretty low value, and he wasn't actually practicing this hard. He was like talking about how he was playing Street Fighter and other things, and he was playing other games because solo queue was worthless, and people didn't like that. And yeah, he just wasn't performing well. Summer playoffs of this same season, season 3. This is like when LCS is theoretically at its weakest. This is before Cloud9 even joined in spring. I feel like there's no excuse to be 5th, 6th in this split, but okay. Summer playoffs. This is when Cloud9 joins. Cloud9 dominates the LCS. They shit on everyone. They win, right? Bjergsen is not in the LCS yet. These TSM wins. This is with Reginald. Okay. Yeah, CLG ends up being 5th, 6th again. So 2 5th place finishes. I think this one was actually tied. I don't know if they had a tiebreak here. Even if they did, I mean, 5th, 6th is whatever. And here there actually was a tiebreak because 6th place went to relegation. I got unbanned. I had to play relegations with Curse. So season 4 is where, like, Doublelift has to start showing some promise because he did really poorly in his first seasons. Season 4 is also when Bjergsen enters the LCS. And when Bjergsen enters the LCS, he is the best player in LCS by far. He is a clear MVP. He stomps the LCS. He has the most solo kills out of anyone in LCS, like by far. He has 33 solo kills in 28 games. He solo kills every single mid laner in the region in one split. And we can just look at some highlights from when Bjergsen entered.
They're the ones controlling.
He's making fun of everyone.
Bjergsen now.
Ooh, the Q dodge. Does he have the damage? Snoopy surely to pop right here. Now can Bjergsen get out? Oh, there you go. Jumps to his clone. Uh-oh. Bjergsen pulled in as well. The dive's going to come on in. Nope. No damage on Bjergsen. That's going to be a kill on a Crepo. And
I mean,
picks up
he makes fun of
Barrett.
everyone in the region.
They've shied
Solo kill Skara. This is when Skara is considered good.
away from taking turrets, but they're back to doing it again. Under 5 minute first turret. Skara very low, and whoa, they actually go toe to
Makes fun of everyone in the region.
Bjergsen.
Also, just for the record, if you were to put a top, like, let's say after season 5, you did a top players of all time list, like you did a GOAT list, Wild Turtle would have been above Doublelift as well. At that point, Wild Turtle is a 3-time LCS champion because he won in spring of 2013 when he joined the team. Wild Turtle is just a better AD early on. Like, he's just able to get it done when it matters. He's performing super well for the team. His mechanics are insane. He's a solo queue prodigy. He has 3 fucking accounts in the top 5 of the region. He's just like one of the best mechanical players in the entire LCS, which does, like, in this circumstance, kind of count against Bjergsen in a way where it's like, oh, your teammates are also good, but you have to play with fucking odd one. All right, that takes away all of that, bro. This Bjergsen is playing without a jungler, dude. He's playing without a jungler. Just look at Bjergsen. 5-0-1. His jungler has 2 assists. He's just solo killing over and over again
with the trinket ward. And he's going to go for the kill under turret.
Oh my gosh, he has a W coming up. He actually...
Like, people did not realize that these, like, kills were even possible at the time, too. Like, these look just like okay kills now, but at the time it was like, what the f is going on? How is this possible?
I'm looking to dive it.
Well, he has his ultimate up.
Yeah, good behavior.
Yeah. He just...
That's another solo kill. Like, I'm telling you, there was a video. I was trying to find it. I couldn't find it. There's a video of him solo killing every single mid laner in one split. Like, it just wasn't fair. It wasn't fair. And, like, sure, you can say, well, AD carry is a different role. If you play mid lane at this level, then you just get the credit. No one's gonna go and be like, oh, well, Faker, I mean, Bjergsen was literally NA version of Faker in season 4. Like, people will laugh at that now. Bjergsen was NA Faker in season 4. No one's gonna look at, like, Faker in season 4 and be like, well, you know, Imp was actually better. He just wasn't able to solo kill everyone. Or like season 3, Piglet was better, but he just wasn't able to solo kill anyone. So suddenly the fact that Faker was solo killing his opponents all the fucking time doesn't matter. Like, I don't know, bro. Like, this level of performance, you just have to give him credit if he plays like this.
There's a bit of that wave clear we were talking about. He has it now. The yikes for sure. Oh!
I mean, his team is losing, by the way. Like, his team is actually losing in this game. And then he's just still just on everyone.
On the waters is only going to hurt a little bit.
Okay. So even though he's like 1v9ing the game on Lulu, these aren't solo kills. But yeah, he's 7-0 on Lulu. I mean,
because he can
guys,
make it happen.
Guys, let's be real here. Like, this was a level of performance that like Bjergsen on NA harder than anyone on NA ever, outside of maybe like Summit recently. Maybe.
He can keep the
He's
fight.
7-0 at 20 minutes, bro. I mean, the ending of it is that he ends up getting second. This is the split where Doublelift ends up getting third. They beat us when I was on Curse in the fourth place match. Doublelift ends up getting third in this series, but Bjergsen is like by far the best player. Like, insane amount of solo kills. He wins MVP of the split. In his first split in NA, he gets to finals, right? Doublelift has still not got to finals in the first 3 splits that he played, and he's not even performing well compared to other AD carries. At this point, Wild Turtle is considered better than Doublelift still. Okay, so let's go into Season 4 Summer. So Season 4 Summer, and a lot of things happen. So one thing that happens is that, well, actually before Season 4. So at the beginning of Season 4, CLG gets one of the first coaches in LCS. TSM still does not have a coach. It's like Reggie just comes in like Kool-Aid Man style, breaks through the fucking doors and just like, I'm gonna tell you what to do. Like, that happens for TSM. CLG gets Monte Cristo, who is a caster in Korea, who is connected within Korea, and people at this point consider him one of the best minds of the game. Like, obviously people are going to retcon that and be like, what? Like, no, like, but Monte Cristo was the original LS. He was the original LS. He was the Korean fellatio enthusiast that really liked certain things in the game. He had like a very like good knowledge at the time of the macro game. He is the coach of CLG at this point. TSM doesn't have a coach, right? They have all these connections. So CLG starts to import in spring. So they get Dexter. Obviously, Bjergsen is an import himself. CLG gets Dexter. They also get Seraph here, who is supposed to be a hype top laner. Obviously does not end up being super great. But the point is that at this point, like, CLG is a team that should be at least competing with TSM, right? Maybe you're going to say that, oh, well, TSM ended up getting less boy halfway through the season, and TSM had amazing as well, so TSM's roster is better. Look, you can make that argument. I'm fine with that. The problem is that it's not like TSM is better than CLG. It's that CLG is worse than Curse. That's the problem. CLG is worse than Curse. CLG is worse than LMQ. They're worse than Cloud9. They are 5th, 6th in this split, and they're losing to a team that has no resources. They're losing to Curse that has no resources at all. We don't have a coach. We don't have a fucking analyst. You know, we don't have imports. We're in the fucking struggle. We don't have like a review room. We got nothing. We're in the fucking hood. So here, Bjergsen wins the title, summer of 2014, wins the title, is the summer playoffs MVP, and he is like in the MVP voting with Zhao Zhao. Doublelift is not in the MVP voting at all. But all I'm saying is that CLG, they go to Korea, right, to get practice against the best teams in the world. They leave the split either the 8th week or the 7th week, something like that. They leave weeks early and go train in Korea for a month and learn all the Korean strategies. This is when Korea is at its absolute peak, right? Like, Korea is just dominating League of Legends. It looks like no one's ever going to touch Korean League of Legends. And they're getting scrims with top Korean teams. They're getting benefit out of having the resources to go to Korea, do a boot camp. While Team Curse, we're sitting here and we're not even in the A tier of scrims. We're not even in the Cloud9 TSM. We're getting scrims versus like Dignitas. We're getting scrims versus LMQ because people didn't really want to scrim LMQ because they didn't want to, you know, make them any better because they were kind of good. Before they leave, they're 13-7, and then they just like sack the last couple weeks of the split in order to just go to Korea and practice. So they're a team that should be a top team here, right? Incorrect. They lose to a washed up ex semi-pro.
But basically, they picked two
with all their Korean prep and their strats.
Link from
it's literally a Doublelift comp.
So.
Yep. This is also yeah, exactly. This is a protect the Doublelift comp. This is Nunu Lulu with a Twitch. This is your time to shine, Doublelift. Your time to carry the game.
Extra damage in.
Special, what are you doing, brother? Why are you in the turret like that?
To get right out of this fight immediately.
Okay. They're getting 2v3'd by Coppedic Special. My boys are 2v3ing them.
Close on the turret. That bomb's going to do damage, but it will not take him down. Dominate, he should die going in this far unless Curse can recuperate.
Okay, nope, we're alive.
Scat of the week. Quas comes in very deep.
I mean, the problem is that you can't even get, in these years, you can't even get Doublelift versus Bjergsen in the matches that really matter because Doublelift can't make it far enough because he was losing to Curse. Look at this comp. Look at our comp. We have Nidalee top. We have Nocturne jungle, Syndra mid, Lucian and Zillion. So it's just like face check the whole team. That's how you play. Nice. Point is that they get 3-0. They place 5th, 6th again. So like at this point, it's not even close. And the disparity between when Bjergsen is dominating the league and when Doublelift is winning is like way different. It's Bjergsen is 1v9 carrying his fucking team, smurfing the games. And then in these games, like, yeah, I mean, Doublelift is just kind of silent. The main point that I'm trying to make is that at the worst you could say is that Doublelift is comparable with his peers, whereas like Bjergsen is far above everyone else. People actually just revise random things and they don't go through, they don't actually watch the games, they don't track all the stats, or like they don't try to like get a real picture of how the players were at a point. They'll just be like, Doublelift won 8 and Bjergsen won 6. How is that possible if Bjergsen is the GOAT? And that's pretty much how it is. And I was also open to having my opinion changed. I didn't do this with the mentality of like, I'm just going to try to make Bjergsen look so much better than Doublelift. Like, no, we're going to go through the times where Doublelift was better than Bjergsen too. It just so happens that at this point in the career, it is not comparable, right? We're in season 4. Bjergsen is a champion. He's an LCS champion at this point. He's a regular season MVP in the first split that the award existed. He's a finals MVP. He's just performing better at this point. But we'll go into the other ones. Don't worry. Season 4, Uzi carried his team to finals. Uzi was shitting on everyone. The idea that like an AD carry was super weak in season 4 is it's just not true. AD carry was broken in season 4. Dude, we're up like 15k gold at 30 minutes. Like, and this was a team that was supposed to shit on us. They were supposed to get, people were memeing that it was the hyperbolic time chamber. They were going to Korea for a month. They were going to come out of the hyperbolic time chamber and just like win NA. And this is what happened. Look at how silent the crowd is, bro, because we literally had no fans and they're all CLG fans. It's like one person like, woo, yeah, go Curse. I mean, dude, Cop is smurfing this game. Like, he literally just smurfed the game. I don't know what to tell you.
It's not going to be enough to stop Curse, and it's going to be a 3-0 in the...
All right, let's see. So season 5 spring. Okay, so let's get into season 5 spring. So we'll look at this spring season. So this is when the LCS upgraded to 10 teams. In regular season, CLG is 3rd. I'm on TL. We're 6th. TSM and Cloud9 are the top 2 teams. Cloud9 wins the tiebreaker, so Cloud9 gets a bye. So once again, this is when CLG has a good lineup, right? Like they're trying to make a super team. They're effectively trying to make a super team. This is when Smithy joins the roster. They get Darshan top lane. They have Afro Moose still playing support, and Link is the mid laner in spring. Doublelift wins no players of the week. I win 1. Bjergsen wins 1. He has 30 KDA in this week. But yeah, like this is like whatever. If you care about this, maybe you care about this. If not, like the point is that Bjergsen at least is winning them, and then he wins MVP of the split. That's the key part. He wins MVP of the split. In finals, Bjergsen is once again a beast. He wins finals MVP. They hard stomp. I mean, we can go to that. And this is the game where I think Bjergsen really pops off. He wins lane super hard this game. Yeah, well, he gets like a couple kills like this, and then he just starts doing shit like this.
Side of Cloud9. Hello. Oh my word.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And he's just so far ahead, man. 50 CS up on high. Solo kill. He won lane by like 20 CS before they actually started showing the highlights.
They get themselves into good positioning.
That's actually so good. I mean, you saw what Bjergsen just did there. He just silenced high the second that he ulted and just like one-shot him. Heals out of it. Gets heal and flash and kills high.
For sure.
They're pretty solid.
Right now, which means his ultimate does over 1,000 true damage.
Oh my god, 3-man knockup in that fight from Cho'Gath. Okay, so let's look at the other side of things. Because CLG, they're in the quarterfinals. But they don't make it past the quarterfinals. Why did they not make it past the quarterfinals? I guess we'll see. As a player, I was consistently beating CLG, and then TSM was winning everything. So like, from my perspective, obviously I'm not going to be like, the guy that I'm beating, I think that guy's actually better than the guy that's like MVP and winning. But like, I actually think that in the later years, it's closer than people give it credit for. So like this massive difference between Bjergsen early years to Doublelift early years, I think this is like the biggest gap that there is between the two at any point. I mean, at least you could tell the difference between Doublelift getting outperformed in his playoff series by Cop and then now by Piglet. Like, even though Piglet is kind of running it, it's like not like Doublelift is doing anything in these games, while Bjergsen is just winning titles. And this is like quarterfinals, man. This is 5th. Like, loser of this gets 6th. It's not like this actually is later on in the playoffs.
99%, but he's still hitting the autos. Still the equalizer, and that was a huge equalizer.
I mean, he just walks into the fight. He flashes. He flashes with an auto on him. Piglet just kills him. Wait, did Xpecial just forget to ult? What the fuck? Wait, Xpecial just didn't ult. Nice. Why does he just not ult and he just dies for no reason? Special Y.
Smithy throws the ultimate out, doesn't get much. Double kill coming in for Piglet. Now across the wall, still doing damage as Phoenix. Piglet is going for double lift.
Here's where like Piglet was talking him. It was like, come here, double lift boy, where he said that in comms. This is the clip. I mean, the point is that like, I mean, double lift is not doing bad, but Piglet is doing better for sure. Like, he's definitely not carrying his team at this point. Okay, now we don't have to watch the old streamer play anymore. Now we go into summer. This is when CLG finally beats TSM. This is the first split where you can start making an argument that Doublelift played better than Bjergsen in playoffs, right? So up until this point, like beginning of Double's career was nowhere close to the beginning of Bjergsen. Bjergsen had a meteoric rise, most solo kills in his first split. Like, he was just better than everyone, got to finals, got a title, got another title, was MVP twice already. He was finals MVP once, and 2015 is where Doublelift gets his first leg up in a split. There's some other points I want to make. So like, there'll be a little bit of just like watching the gameplay, but there's a few points I want to make once we get into season 8 that I think a lot of people have like forgot about, which I count against Doublelift that a lot of people I don't think even consider, which is like adaptation to the meta is the main thing that I'll be talking about, because season 8 obviously meta changed. Mages came in bot lane, other AD carries were able to play Mages bot lane, Doublelift wasn't. I think that that's like a major point that needs to be talked about. And then season 9, season 9, like Yasuo came in, Perks was playing Syndra, Zoe, like all these picks. They were the best Western team of all time, and Doublelift was playing none of them. They get 3-0'd again. They get like hard 3-0'd. Like these games, like first one was kind of close, but this is essentially like a pretty hard 3-0ing. So yeah, I mean, we weren't supposed to be contenders, right? Our team was 6th. We barely made playoffs. We had to play a tiebreaker to make it into playoffs. And in this split, we beat them 3-0. The split before, we were almost relegated. We ended up beating them 3-0 again. So you got to remember that, like, even if you're like, oh, Bjergsen wasn't that insane, like, he's still considered the best player in the league. He's still winning 2 championships. He's still making finals every single split. Even when his team is bad, he's still able to get them into finals. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if people are not considering, or they just think like the early years don't matter in the debate at all. Where for me, like, I'm always going to count the early periods of anything. Like, people say it's a boomer thing, but I mean, you have to count them for something. They literally were competing, and the way that sports works is as people compete for longer and longer, people just naturally get better. But if like season 4, season 3, season 5, like if Bjergsen didn't exist in those times, then people would not have gotten as good in the West. Like, having a player like Bjergsen elevates the entire region, and then people start, you know, seeing what he's doing, reverse engineering it, and trying to figure out, okay, so this is how he's able to consistently get his advantages. All right, season 5 summer. Both players, Doublelift and Bjergsen, end up being all-pro second team. They're all-pro second team. TSM plays versus CLG in the finals. Now, these finals, I don't know, they're pretty like hard to judge, because clearly there was like a draft issue on TSM where TSM, like they essentially played game 1 and Dyrus got completely clapped in the Gnar Yasuo matchup. And then to deny Zion Spartan Yasuo, Bjergsen had to play Yasuo the rest of the series. But this is the first time that they meet, and this is the first time that I'll be like, okay, like in the regular split, I would say Bjergsen played better than Doublelift. In the finals here, I think Doublelift played better than Bjergsen. I mean, you got to remember though that like after this, like TSM completely like they completely nuked their entire roster. Santorin was like banished to the Netherrealm for 2 years. Dyrus retired permanently. Lustboy like essentially retired permanently here. I think he played a little bit in Korea. Even Bjergsen voted for Doublelift. Why do people think that matters? I don't understand why that's a key point. People are like, but Bjergsen voted for Doublelift. Yes, that is like what you're supposed to do in that situation when you're voting. Like, you're not supposed to vote yourself over like your former teammate and be like, I think I was the GOAT. Like, you're supposed to be humble and like give the other guy the vote. That doesn't mean that like, oh, but even if Bjergsen thinks this, then the whole discussion is just over. And for people that want more context, this is the season where the meme of Bjergsen and 4 wards started, because like he was the only one that was doing anything on this team when they started collapsing. It was just him and his 4 wards. Okay, Doublelift rocket. All right, no one's okay. Doublelift. I mean, honestly, like both AD carries are doing all right this game. I don't think it was clear that Doublelift was better than Turtle at this point.
Going to them, but Dyrus has also fallen. That's going to be Pobelts are going down. Way too close now for CLG. Triple kill for Turtle. Looking for the Quadra. Not going to get it that time. It's a triple for Doublelift. He's looking for Bjergsen.
The penta for Doublelift. people will say, oh, but Bjergsen didn't have good world performances. Dude, Doublelift never made it out of groups of world. So I don't even know if we went internationally, what my take would be. I'd have to watch all those series and or I guess not series because it was best of ones. But for this argument, it's just domestic LCS, Rift Rivals, and lock-in tournament. And I just threw out Rift Rivals and lock-in tournament in my estimation anyway. Like, I mean, Doublelift never even played in a lock-in tournament, and then Rift Rivals is like Rift Rivals, like who cares? So yeah, like international doesn't count for this because obviously you're comparing some players that go international, some players that don't, and it's hard to compare between the two. So the way they said it was just splits, Rift Rivals, and lock-in. I think season 6 is a misunderstood season in general because people will just say like, oh, Bjergsen and Doublelift were on the same team, so they both just get a championship. But instead of like looking at the games and seeing like how much better Bjergsen was playing, like Bjergsen was one of the reasons why this team almost won in spring, even though they were doing terribly earlier. Yeah, I mean, the guy was just smurfing. So let's see like the finals appearance. And also like there's got to be other things that count against Doublelift here, right? So CLG wins with Doublelift on their team. They replaced Doublelift with Stixay and Pobelter with Huhi. Huhi was a downgrade to Pobelter, and Stixay ends up like Stixay ends up getting finals MVP in the series and just outperforms him over the course of the series as well. So when your team wins without you, I also think that that's like not a good look because it shows that you weren't necessarily the most important part of it. So for example, when we go into season 8 and I'm going to show you him getting solo killed over and over again, or season 9 where Bjergsen is just absolutely carrying and Sven just throws it in game 5, I'm not going to be like, well, Doublelift got kicked from TSM, so the fact that he's doing worse doesn't matter as much as Bjergsen doing better. Like, I'm not going to do that. And also, like, there's another argument that people always bring up, which is, but Doublelift won on different teams. So Bjergsen was on the same team, but he played with like massively different rosters. So the idea, like, I don't know how much it matters that Doublelift won on different teams when he's playing with similar players, right? Like when Doublelift's winning all those championships, he's playing with Pobelter, he's playing with Xmithy. Like he won all of his championships with either Xmithy or Bjergsen. So he's playing with the same players, playing with Pobelter, who he won with on CLG. Like, yeah, I mean, he's just playing with similar people. And then when he goes back to TSM, he's playing with like Bjergsen again. And the team is obviously more functional than the TL team was that he was on, where he was 9th place. I mean, if you look at this, like, Doublelift griefs this really hard, by the way. Okay, so he should be kiting up. He griefs this super hard. So he should be kiting up. And here, he has QSS and Flash. He has QSS for the stun and Flash, and he could literally just kite out of the stun. But he QSS's before the stun, and then he kites the wrong way. And then he just doesn't Flash and dies. Like, it's not the best. I mean, there's a massive mid gap in the series, by the way. Even though he wins, like, Bjergsen is clearly the better mid laner in the series. Also, this split, Bjergsen is all pro 3rd team, and no one else on his team is even close. Doublelift just completely, like, walks into the whole enemy team here. He just, like, instead of hitting Darshan at range, he, like, walks in, gets his thing canceled, cleanses, doesn't Flash, and dies. This is when you didn't get rooted, I believe. I don't think you got grounded by Poppy W anymore at this point. So because Bjergsen is smurfing so hard on Lulu, so then Lulu starts having to become picked away. But Bjergsen is able to win the Lulu and the Corki side of this. So like Bjergsen is just absolutely smurfing. So I mean, in finals, like, I mean, Bjergsen is still looking like visually like the best player in the region when you're watching the games. Massive big mid gap in this one. Double played well as well. It's probably Doublelift's best game in the series so far. So game 5. All right, so there's some things to discuss. So they just randomly walk up to this wave with the TP ward behind them, which was super illegal in lane swap meta. Like, you're supposed to always sweep behind you, or like pink behind you, or like not walk up to waves like this. And they just, I don't know, they're just lost on the map. They like don't know what they're doing. Doublelift face checks this. I mean, obviously, like, they get 5-man, but this is a super illegal thing to do in the lane swap meta. It's really, really illegal to do this. And then here, look at this play. So then, like, it seems like Doublelift, if you watch the game, so I watched this entire game, Doublelift looks like he's lost on the map. Like, he doesn't know if he can go up to that top wave. Then here, he tries to rotate to a fight. Like, watch what Doublelift does here. He tries to rotate to this bot fight instead of just pushing mid when they're actually just winning the fight 4v5, and he ends up doing nothing. There's literally just, like, nothing to do here. Which, I mean, I guess you can't really blame him, but in reality, I mean, he should know he's not going to make it to this fight. It's a good flash from Bjergsen. So Bjergsen and Yellowstar, I mean, this is how the fight starts. They get in, kill the Lulu. I mean, this game essentially became Bjergsen versus Stixay. Doublelift is really far behind. Pretty good flash over the Echo Q. Heals out of it. Oh my god, wait, Bjergsen was actually just somehow better at Corki in season 6 than he was this split. Like, he has more accuracy with the rockets. I don't know. All right, so this is the final fight. This is the one where they lose it, and they lose it because Yellowstar mis-aims his fucking shield, bro. That's why they lose, because Yellowstar just griefs the shield. I mean, there's a lot of things that are kind of grief here. Like, Hanser goes way too far forward, and Svenskeren has to waste ult, which is pretty bad. Like, they're just chasing way too deep. So now there's no Kindred ult. And also, Doublelift wastes his traps in this fight. Like, he just puts traps like, okay, this trap is fine, I guess, because it prevents people. But then he puts like another trap randomly here. And because he wastes a trap, they don't have a trap for the GA. I mean, bot lane got absolutely gapped. You can blame Yellowstar for that. But like in this game, if you watch like the early game, they die in lane. They end up going like to a wave that they can't go to, die again. Everyone is becoming super far behind. Bjergsen almost carries this game. He clutches out a couple of the fights there, as we saw. And then in the final fight, I mean, Yellowstar just griefs the entire time. I mean, I think Hanser also griefed, going pretty aggressive there. But yeah, I mean, I think that overall in this series, my perception of it from watching it wasn't that, oh, Bjergsen and Doublelift are like, they both lost together. They lost together, they won together. This felt like Bjergsen was good. He was much better than Hui, and other places were outclassed. I think Darshan outclassed. I think Afro outclassed. I think Stixay outclassed. I think jungle is actually pretty even in this one. I feel like the narrative is that both of them are equal, where I don't think everything is equal at this point. I think Bjergsen is really good at this period, 2016. 2016 summer. Okay, so 2016 summer. Okay, this is where we can start getting into some interesting narratives. Up until this point, we've been just talking about highlights. So for people that don't know what the meme was, in the summer split of this split, season 6, Doublelift went on stream and they're like, oh, like Sneaky is just not good in lane. Sneaky is bad in lane, but he's good in team fights. So that's why he's a good player. Which became like a meme in the community. People were saying Sneaky in lane, lol, like he's very bad, you know, in lane, but he was good outside of it. That's what people would say. All right. In this series, Sneaky is laning well into Doublelift. Sneaky is laning well into Doublelift, and they're like, they're just choking the bot lane with Tahm Kench. Jensen solo kills Bjergsen as well. So Bjergsen is not doing well either. Both of them just kind of in game one. It just is what it is. And there's a couple of things here. This being said, that like Bjergsen got solo killed, he is playing a bad matchup. So something that happened consistently in the series is later they start drafting for bot lane. They draft for bot lane, but Bjergsen is still carrying the games. He's still carrying the games in finals. People were contesting this. People were like, oh no, he didn't deserve MVP. The other guy deserved the MVP, which was Doublelift. Bjergsen didn't deserve it. Doublelift deserved it. I think it was close. Maybe Doublelift should have got MVP. Even if he got MVP for the split, in this series, in the most important series, I think Bjergsen was the more pivotal player. People will remember like the Lucian culling where Doubles was kind of clutch, but the reason why they were able to turn it around is because they're drafting for bot lane and their mid lane is winning. Getting counterpicked. Like literally Bjergsen gets counterpicked almost every single game this series. Oh my god, guess he lost vision. He flashed in and he force shot Jensen instead of force shotting Smoothie, which is I think what he was aiming for here. Wait, did Doublelift cancel his ult? Hold on, let me see. Let me see what happens with double ult here. He fires 1, 2. Oh my god, he griefs it completely. Oh my god, I remember this. Yeah, Doublelift actually chokes this super hard. He has 4 ult shots, right? And look, he fires 1. Look at all these low HP targets, and he just cancels his ult in such a crucial moment. He actually canceled his ult in such a crucial moment. Like, everyone is dying here, bro. Like, okay, 2. Like, he misses 2, and then he has 3, 4. This is like 2 kills, potentially. Imagine 3, 4. I mean, obviously, like, if Jensen blocks, then maybe they can kill Jensen. He just canceled it, bro. He canceled his ult in a crucial moment when they're down 1-0 in the series. Bjergsen's like flash ult again. He's playing way cleaner. I don't understand how people can watch this series and, I mean, know that Bjergsen got MVP and all that stuff and still say that this was just a 1-1. How is this a 1-1? How is Bjergsen winning the split and Doublelift winning the split together? How is that they're equal players after what we're watching? He's drifting. He's gliding. Cassio's gliding. Getting counterpicked all these games, by the way. Vel'Koz is good into Cassio because of like range. Okay, well played Doublelift. That's both of his sums. I mean, I guess he zoned the Vel'Koz. Let's go into game number 4. So this is the game that they end up winning. Doublelift has a really big moment. Doublelift has a super big moment in this game. A huge part of my argument is that, like, when Doublelift is better than Bjergsen, he's narrowly better than Bjergsen. Like, or like if he has a better split or a better series, Doublelift is like slightly better than Bjergsen. When Bjergsen is better than Doublelift, so we're talking about 2020, like all of 2020, 2019 spring, 2016, I have 2017, 2015, 2014, Bjergsen is like miles ahead of him. Bjergsen is like the best player in the league, MVP, and no one else is close. I mean, this is one of the things that people say. They're like, oh, Bjergsen never won without Doublelift. Okay, Bjergsen never won without Doublelift in season 8, like season 8, season 9, and season 10, right? But season 10, Bjergsen was like absolutely fucking pissing on kids. And Doublelift was like mediocre. If Doublelift didn't have connections into TSM, like if he hadn't played with the team previously, you know, if he wasn't potentially, you know, dating the president maybe, I don't know if he gets that spot because he was not looking good. Like TL wanted to run tactical over Doublelift, which sounds insane, but Doublelift was literally just running it down in season 10. Season 7, Bjergsen wins another title. He wins it without Doublelift. And he's just extremely good. Well, they're just getting obliterated this one. And my point is that like this season it was pretty close. I mean, spring obviously Doublelift doesn't play, so it's like kind of hard to judge. I mean, well, it's not kind of hard to judge. If you don't play and the other guy wins the championship, the other guy gets credit over you. So I shouldn't say it's hard to judge, but like this summer finals, I mean, they both played well. I do think later on in the series, this game specifically, I thought Doublelift played like pretty fucking scared, but like I could say that Doublelift probably played better in the second game. So I mean, it's just really a toss-up. I think this could go either way. I mean, Bjergsen does the most here he could do. Like he is just getting, everyone just targets him, he gets exhausted. So I think this play is really huge from Doublelift, or sorry, from Bjergsen. I mean, it's kind of obviously by Cody's son walking over the ball because they're trying to like flip Elder, and he just one-shots Cody. Point is, they like this game Bjergsen played pretty well. I think Double played a little scared, but Double probably played better in the series up until this point. You want to I mean, I guess we could do the Bjergsen one. We can go through this one. We can go through this one quickly. I mean, you can like, dude, honestly, I just don't know what people want Bjergsen to do in this team besides for like recruit better players. Like that's what you could say. I mean, he's 6 out of, like, has he made a mistake? Did he get to make a mistake this game? Oh my God, Hanser, bro. Oh, I can't watch it. Nah, he's just getting grief by all 4 of his teammates, man. It's just too hard to watch. Okay, so then we go to the other side of things. The player that's actually smurfing in this series, there's 2 players. Doublelift is doing well. He's definitely doing well versus Cody, but like Pobelter popped off in this series. He's the finals MVP here. He just absolutely fists Rio every single game. Yeah, obviously Doublelift was dealing with some personal things during the series, so he didn't play the best, but he got the job done, so respect him for playing. This is a very boring best of 5. It's just a complete stomp, but we can give it to Doublelift here. I don't have too much to comment on. Season 8 summer. So season 8 summer, I think was, yeah, this was a weird split for Doublelift because at this point, this is, okay, so there's a couple things here. So in the finals, this was the finals where you had like the Swole Bros that came in and they ended up beating TSM. I looked through it. I mean, we could watch that as well. Bjergsen was pretty well in this series. Like he's carrying a lot of the games, even in bad situations. He's playing like a Kali versus Zillion, and he's doing really well in the games. I thought that this series was fine. I mean, I don't think Doublelift plays extremely well. This is when he wins MVP, but I will say that there's like a major knock against him, which is that he's just not able to adapt to the meta. Like he can't play any of the mages bot lane that are being banned or being played. He doesn't play Swain, he doesn't play Victor, he doesn't play Cassio. Like these are all things that are being played even at Worlds. He doesn't play Yasuo, he doesn't play Teemo, he doesn't play like anything. He can't play anything besides for AD carries. This is before Sonatom. I think Sonatom is in spring. But yeah, like he doesn't play any of the meta stuff, which I think is really rough. I don't know. I don't know how you can not adapt to the meta at all as an AD carry. I mean, the argument that people will say is, well, he's an AD carry, so because AD carry doesn't have that much versatility historically, you shouldn't expect AD carries to like adapt. But the fact of the matter is that other AD carries are adapting more than he is. Like Sneaky, who's also an AD carry that has played pretty much his whole career on AD carries. Like this is like the season where he's actually pulling out the Victor. He's playing the Cassio. Like he is trying to adapt to the meta. He's playing Quinn, which was a AD carry that came into the meta. like a roaming AD carry that people were playing.
Lane should be able to pretty easily get himself to his
I mean, this is just a bad flash. He gets Q flashed. He doesn't flash behind the minions. Doublelift just gets solo killed in lane here. Let's start. And this is sneaky in lane part 2. This is another series where people are like, Doublelift, like he's MVP of the split. He's going to just on sneaky. It just doesn't happen. And this is not a series where I think that Doublelift plays super well in lane. It just in team fights he does like well, but it just feels like TL is just a much better team fighting team. I think a lot of this just comes down to the fact that Impact is able to play tanks, and he just plays tanks in this series, and he's frontlining where Licorice is just not able to do it to the same level. I mean, this is a game where like, okay, so Doublelift wins. Does he deserve? I mean, I guess he deserves to win because he won, but like when I'm looking at the series, like he's making dumb mistakes in lane, which is weird. I mean, TL's just a better team. They're literally just a better team, but like, I don't understand. So the argument here that people are making is they're saying that Doublelift is carrying these games. He's carrying these championships in season 8. How is he carrying the championships? Doesn't he just play on a better team? Yeah, not much to see here anymore. We can go season 9. I mean, this is my point though. Like when you're looking at these titles, like people are saying that Doublelift is like hard carrying these titles. Like it looks like a team effort. It just looks like he's on a solid team. I mean, they're dying in lane. It doesn't matter. It's not like things are exploding on the other side of the map. Like reverse it, dude. Put yourself in Sneaky shoes. What does Sneaky have to work with here? His mid is getting gapped. His top is getting gapped. His jungle is getting gapped. Like he kills lane. It doesn't matter at all. Like how is this like a Doublelift is just showing his dominance over Sneaky type thing? Like to me, I feel like Sneaky just doesn't have as good teammates. It just is what it is. His teammates are just worse. So Doublelift has a really good split. The split that I think Doublelift is like really good is season 9 summer. That finals I think he does really well on. In spring, I think Bjergsen is like, I mean, Bjergsen, okay, think about this. Bjergsen wins playoffs MVP on the losing team. That's how good Bjergsen is. And there's like specific dynamics that I want to go into. He choked a 2-0 lead. He had 3 opportunities to close it out and win the series. Sure, Sven into the last game, but what about the other 2 games? He's as insane as you're saying. There's no way in hell he would choke a 2-0 lead. You can literally just get reverse swept, even if you're the best player in the series. I don't know what to tell you. Like, yeah, I mean, okay, so top esports choked a 2-0 lead. Sure, Jackie Love inted and ran it down, right? Of course, Jackie Love ran it down. But if TN's as good as I'm saying, then TN would be able to like win that series, right? Like that's the same logic, correct? So TN should be to blame. Like we should say that TN is lesser than Kanavi because TN had a 2-0 lead and his AD carry ran it down, right? That is literally the same exact logic. And also it's like, I'm not comparing like I'm just saying that Bjergsen is better than Doublelift here. I'm not even saying like Bjergsen is the fucking god, even though I think he was the best player in this game. Like, I don't think that he's as good compared to everyone else in this game as he was in like 2015, where he was like the god. He was miles above everyone else. In this series, he's better than everyone else, but everyone else just got better too. Like he's playing against Jensen when Jensen's still good. Fact of the matter is, like, I mean, just watch this fight, bro. Watch this fight. Doublelift has flash. Like fails his flash. Okay. Watch Bjergsen here, man. Takes that flash. Has his flash still. Come on, bro. Look at this. Gets the gunblade off. Hits the like. Come on, dude. Come on, dude. Come on, dude. Come on, man. Come on. Yeah, PB played really well here. Yeah, he's solo carried this game. Bjergsen had a really good fight, and he hit like a clutch bubble, but I mean, BB carried this game. Okay, so this is a really important part of the series, though. So they tried a situational counter pick to, well, not even situational counter pick, just a counter pick to the Zoe, and then Jensen takes the Zoe, and Bjergsen plays Lux into it. I mean, Doublelift plays well this game.
Doublelift is likely gonna have
plays, well, I mean, he plays better than Bjergsen does in this one. I mean, they all just play it well. And BB kind of runs it, but it doesn't matter. Game's over. Boom. That's game over. Wait, was this one? Did Soul exist at this point? This wasn't Soul, right? Wasn't it like Drake's and then 35 minutes was Elder? Trying to remember the meta. So the game is actually just over at this point.
Can they find that opening? So far, TSM has
no!
No, quick.
No, man, there's no shot. What is he doing? I like that. The commentary. You know, this is literally just the entire debate. If Sven doesn't int here, right? And then Bjergsen has 7 and Doublelift has 7, but Bjergsen like has the better recent like performances, like the 2020 whatever, then no one's gonna be arguing this. I swear the only distinction is the 8 championships for Doublelift versus the 6 championships for Bjergsen. If Sven doesn't do this, we don't even have to do this stream.
No smite though.
Oh my god, Sven did it again. I forgot he inted twice, bro. I remember oh my god, I didn't remember he did it here too. Oh my god, I forgot he inted twice. So yeah, that's I think like the closest series they have. I think Bjergsen played well in this series. I think game 4 wasn't the best. The other games he didn't make many mistakes at all. Also, there was like the Zoe counterpick thing that was really important. And yeah, I mean, if Sven just doesn't run it down, they just win. They literally just win. Ran it down twice. Yes, he ran it down twice. He ran it down twice. Can't forget the twice. All right, so season 9. Okay, so here's something interesting to talk about. Okay, here's something interesting to talk about. In between these 2 splits, this is when TL goes to MSI. We're not going to count MSI into it, but one thing that's really important is that Bjergsen is like at least adapting to what's meta, and it seems like Doublelift can't adapt to what the meta is worldwide. So when TL goes internationally, they play against Perks, right? Perks is pulling out the fucking Yasuo. He plays like a lot of the Yasuo bot lane. People have to ban the Yasuo bot lane into Perks. Other people around the world, other AD carries, like Teddy starts playing Yasuo, right? Teddy starts playing Yasuo. You have Viper start playing Yasuo. Like people are playing like Garen, Yumi. There's all these bot lane picks that come in that Doublelift just refuses to play, which I think I think that's just a knock against Doublelift during this time period, because it seems like he just only has the capabilities to play traditional AD carries and Sona, I guess. Like he played Sona, which I think he was pretty decent at in some of the series this split, but I felt like Sona was just like you played it like an AD carry, whereas anything that you actually had to like alter your playstyle, it just didn't seem like he was capable of playing it. And that's something that I personally think is just like not a good look when you see other AD carries trying to adapt to the meta. So in season 8, for example, we didn't watch the series, but if you go in season 8 and you watch Bjergsen play with Sven's picking up the Swain. He's playing like a lot of these other picks that are coming into the meta, and Doublelift just won't adapt. And I think it puts TL at a disadvantage versus other teams, domestically and internationally, more so internationally because domestic teams aren't good enough at a lot of the AP majors, so he doesn't need to pick it up domestically. But I just think that in general, he just isn't adapting to the meta. So let's go into this video, which will be the summer finals, which are pretty much a slaughter. I think this is Doublelift's best series. I think Doublelift plays better than Bjergsen in season 9 summer. This is when TSM has this like mini implosion where they're like trading junglers, and then Spica just comes out of nowhere, and then he's just randomly playing in the finals, and it was really, or not the finals, the gauntlet. It was just very weird what happened with TSM. I think this was the first finals where I was like, oh my god, Doublelift's like carrying, you know? This is what I normally wanted to see. If Bjergsen is the GOAT, why can't he play champs on a super team? Bye-bye Worlds this year, huh? Yeah, I mean, Bjergsen didn't play well. Number one, there's a couple things there. 2022, you only are counting spring because that's when the voting happened between spring and summer. So you don't know that he's not going to make Worlds. He's all pro first team in spring, and you don't actually, and like they end up losing to EG and 100 Thieves, which definitely hurts, but you don't think it's a catastrophe. They're still top 3. You still think they're going to go to Worlds, and you still think they have the possibility to improve. That's number one. Number two, Doublelift is not even playing at this point competitively. So you're like holding Bjergsen coming back and making all pro first team and then not making Worlds against him when Doublelift's literally retired. This is the best finals I think Doublelift has ever played, in my opinion. Yeah, this would be a good season for Doublelift. Spring would have went really well for Doublelift. Like Jinx is probably for me, I think that's his best champion of all time. I know that might be controversial, I'm not sure. I think his best champion of all time is Jinx, and Jinx was like meta. I don't know about his affiliates, but I mean, if you can just play Jinx, then you could play Sivir with a Yumi. I mean, his late game team fighting was always a strength. Even though Doublelift doesn't have a lot of kills, I think this is like one of the better games I've seen him play. I'll take a game like this where he makes like no mistakes and wins his lane and he's just ahead, over a game where he's like 11-2 but gets solo killed in lane. So for example, compared to season 8 summer where you see him losing lane to Sneaky, this is like a better performance to me, even though it like he has a worse scoreline. This game was jungle diff, but Doublelift, if I remember, plays well with the lead, so that's definitely solid. I mean, overall, I think the split was just a Doublelift split. I think this is probably the best finals he has. Does he win finals MVP? Who wins finals MVP? It's Jensen that wins it here. Does Doublelift really never win finals MVP? I guess Doublelift just never wins playoffs MVP. Bro, I don't know. I really wanted to just be like positive about, like, I told myself, I said, like, mental note, I'm gonna be really positive about like Doublelift when we get to like season 9 summer, because I think this is his best playoffs. But you know what, games 2 and 3 were not the best, we'll say that. All right, Doublelift played better this game than he did in game 2 and 3 for sure. So, dude, this is taking way too long. I thought it was gonna take like 2 hours or like 3 hours. Then I realized that people are gonna want to watch like the entire highlights, so it's gonna end up taking like 7 hours or some shit. All right, last game, game 5. Game 5 is where Doublelift takes over. Look at these autos. Boom. There it is. Dude, Kai'Sa looks like one of the most like fun champions to play. That was clean. Wait, are they inting? Nope, they're not inting. Doublelift lives these. He has no ult, but he has flash. He lives these. Copium. He's definitely not going to just die and give a shutdown sneaky. Season 10 spring. I don't have any VODs for this because I think it's literally irrelevant. Doublelift doesn't even make playoffs. He gets kicked from TL. They get 9th place. They get literally 9th place with 4 out of the 5 same members. The only addition was Broxa. There was visa issues at the beginning. I get all that. But Doublelift himself is having a terrible season. This is Doublelift's worst split ever, 2020 spring, season 10 spring. And part of the reason why it is his worst split ever is because he can't adapt to the meta once again. I think this is a consistent theme throughout his career. He does not adapt to metas well. And the meta in this season is Senna Aphelios. Senna Aphelios are both just the new champions in, and the best AD carry in NA in that split is Sven. Sven goes to Korea with Vulcan. He practices a lot in solo queue with these champions. When he comes back, he is the best Senna. He is the best Aphelios in NA. And Bjergsen can't play either of them. Or sorry, wait, why did I say Bjergsen? Doublelift can't play either of them. Yeah, Bjergsen can't play them too, but that's because they're not fucking mid laners. Dude, we're too tired for this. I just read Bjergsen's name here. So Bjergsen doesn't have a great split himself, but he is doing better than Doublelift, who is literally running it down. He is a bottom 2 AD carry in the region in 2020. And the main thing that comes from this is Doublelift running it down. And then when they question, they're like, hey, bro, like, you're kind of sprinting it. What's going on with you? Why are you sprinting it so hard? And he just says, spring split doesn't matter, right? And that becomes a meme. Spring split doesn't matter because it doesn't actually count for anything besides for like going to MSI, but then MSI doesn't even happen and there's no championship points. So for this period of time, like, yeah, I don't know. I think this is like heavily Bjergsen favored. Bjergsen never has a split close to as bad as this split from Doublelift. Bjergsen never fails to make playoffs. Doublelift fails to make playoffs, and he's one of the main reasons why his team isn't making playoffs, and he gets kicked from his team. Season 10 summer. So season 10 summer, I think, is pretty interesting here. One thing to consider, if you look at this, now people will say whatever the fuck you want about all pro teams not actually mattering. If you just want to say, no all pro teams matter, it doesn't matter at all, it's all bullshit. There's some percentage of people that troll or votes, whatever. The point is this: Bjergsen gets most player of the games in the region, right? He's the only player on TSM that's in the top 3 all-pro teams. Like, sure, if you want to like flame it, like the votes say it doesn't matter, I don't think that they are that far off. Where Bjergsen's all-pro first team, and none of his teammates are even close. None of his teammates are even on any of the other teams because they had such rough points. There was the time where BB was running it down in the split, where he was just playing like Wukong and all this random shit. He was playing like Wukong into Orin, and it just wasn't working out. He wasn't able to like master the weak side top matchup, so he was getting hardcore flamed by the TSM community. Spica, this was his first split, his first real split. He had 5 games where he just ran it down in a row. Doublelift is still not performing that well. The bot lane has issues, and then Treats comes in, and Treats ends up replacing Biofrost, and that's the roster they end up going into playoffs with. All right, so when they actually start playing together again, it is just Bjergsen's team. It is just all Bjergsen. Doublelift is playing a super supportive role, and more importantly, they are not doing well bot lane still. FBI claps Doublelift both times they play, even though like FBI like throws one of the games in the 5-game series. They get 3-0'd by Golden Guardians with FBI on it. FBI is just the better AD at this point. Like, this is where FBI is just surpassed Doublelift and just became a better player. And yeah, I mean, I think that this is something that's extremely notable. Like, this is extremely notable because they're still competing. This year, Doublelift is just straight not good. Like, he's just not good anymore. I don't know if I would say he's washed. It just seems like he just doesn't care as much as he used to. Bjergsen just AFKs in 90% of his games, but that's like literally not even true, bro. Look at how they win this title. They win this title because Bjergsen can play Zilean into any matchup, and Zilean just becomes the CEO of North American playoffs. Bjergsen plays Zilean in every single matchup, always wins into all these matchups that are supposed to be bad. Victor, Azir, Lucian, whatever the play into him, he just wins every single time, and he smurfs the games. I don't think there's any argument you can make that Doublelift was performing better than Bjergsen in season 10, right? No one's saying that. The main argument is about like season 8, season 9, compare that to the early splits. So you're comparing like 2014, 2015 to Doublelift's 2018, 2019, and then you're just like trying to see if 2016, 2017 were actually even. That's kind of the way I see the argument. I don't think anyone is legitimately arguing for Doublelift being better in season 10. No, I mean, I would argue that Doublelift had way better teammates in spring, and he does worse. He does worse with better teammates. Doublelift is playing with the same roster that ended up going to MSI, and when they kick him, they just become good again as well. I mean, obviously TSM becomes good, but like if you look at the difference between how good TSM is without Doublelift and then with Doublelift, even though they become technically the best team here, like TL has more of an increase because they were so bad with Doublelift for some reason. Doublelift is literally not playing and Bjergsen's still playing. Bjergsen comes back after an hiatus in his first split. He's all pro first team, ends up getting 3rd place. In his second split, underperforms, ends up getting 4th, I believe. But I wouldn't say that Bjergsen's had like just a disgustingly like legacy ruining style of split, you know? Bjergsen is lucky because on his team, actually Hans runs it down so hard that you start forgetting about Bjergsen playing poorly. It's actually crazy though that like this is what happened in NA. Like Bjergsen was just running everyone. Like he ran Niski right before this. He shit on Niski with Zilean. Then he shits on like Power of Evil with Zilean, and he's playing into bad matchups. Then he goes internationally and gets completely dumpstered. But yeah, I mean, international doesn't count for this. I mean, I don't know how you can criticize Bjergsen's play, right? Like he's playing TF. He's making every play for the team. And he wins finals MVP again here, which is like, I mean, you could say what you want about the award, but there's a reason he's winning finals MVP, bro. His Zilean was just a must ban. Like, I don't know. No one could deal with it. And then he was just playing these champions too, like the TF. He's doing so well every game, and his team's just fucking sprinting it. Plays TF in game 5. Look at bot lane, bro. Bot lane's just getting... What happens here? Actually, let's see it. Misses the W on the dive. I probably wouldn't. I mean, actually, if he did hit the stun onto Ignar, it's probably 1-for-1. Bjergsen's the GOAT. Bjergsen's the fucking GOAT. Season 8, I don't even think is like counted that far against Bjergsen. I think seasons 4 through 7 are all Bjergsen. I think season 8, maybe you could count like one of the splits against Bjergsen, but I think it's close. Season 9 spring, I have Bjergsen. Season 9 summer, I have Doublelift. Season 10 spring, I have Bjergsen. Season 10 summer, I have Bjergsen. I don't think it's even close, bro. Yeah, I don't really think that it's that close. So I'll be debating this against Thorin next week. Let's see what he wants to say. I am going to take some rest because I literally haven't done today. I've literally done this with my entire day. I don't know what my life has came to where I've decided to do this with my entire days. But you know what? Tomorrow we got LEC into LCS. And then we got that again the day after. I'll be on for that. All right, I'm out. Thanks for watching, guys.